Used to think I had it alright. How I lived was how I should. I never took the time to lay my heart on the line. Ooh, 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 ooh,
Could someone link the stream on Discord, by the way?
Play it safe, play it cool, keep it calm. Never strayed so far from that line. I never listened to the words that were written in your songs. I never wanna let you down. I never wanna let you go. Getting tired, always running around. If you wanna go, let's go. Let's go. Yeah, if you wanna go, let's go. Let's go.
Alright, so this is a quick voice check. Let me know if you guys can hear me a-okay. We'll be beginning in around 4 minutes. Make sure you guys get comfy, get your refreshments, get your snacks. I got mine here. Righty. Now let's do a quick voice check for the beautiful, the gorgeous Krisha herself. Krisha, if you're here, could you go ahead and say something? And we'll wait for the audience to confirm. Yeah, I turned off the music for now. Thank you guys. Not sure if Krisha's here. I cannot hear. She's muted on Discord. I don't think she knows that though. I see that I can't hear her. There's always issues. Like even though we test things live, it all goes to. I mean, we test things offline. When we do go live, it all goes to shit. Okay, so I'm gonna switch. All right, Krisha, try saying something now.
And what's up, you guys? Can everybody, Sean, can you hear me? How
I
about we
can hear
start
you
with that
now.
first?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect.
Can you guys hear Krisha? Awesome. All right,
Okay,
so I think we're
perfect.
gonna have to make the choice between, or rather, pick between Krisha's voice and the music. For some reason I can't get both of them to work at the same time. But I think the choice is pretty obvious. We're gonna have to kick Krisha out and go with the music. I'm kidding.
I'm totally fine being on the chat too, though, eh? If you guys want the beats playing at the back.
Oh no 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 no! We want your sage wisdom, Krisha.
My sage wisdom. Loud and clear. Perfectamundo.
Alrighty. So Krisha, do you I think we should get you to share your charts on the next stream, but I don't wanna add any more technical complications on the stream. So let's go ahead and begin. Actually, we do have 1 minute, so let's see who we have here on the stream. We have Chauvin. Chauvin, how's it going? Julian as well. Julian's always here. Chauvin's always here as well. And today, Garima is joining us. Garima, how are you? How are you? I missed you, Garima. I missed you. Garima
No, it's been a while, eh?
Yeah, she used to be here for every single stream, especially last year. So Garima, have you finished the seed program yet? What module are you on?
Let's hear it.
Elias,
Let's
how's
hear
it going? How's it going, Elias?
Channel 2, we're great. What about you, man? He says, how are you both? How are both of you? Ah, that's right. Like I had the YouTube thing on, and then I realized I'm like, wait a minute, the music's not playing.
You guys hear my neighbor's dog in the background? How about now? Can you guys hear the music as well? This isn't a mango stream without the music, eh? Perfecty. Dominic says he can't hear the background dog. Hello, mango music indeed. Just in time as well, because we're about to begin. I don't think I have enough snacks. Krisha, do you have snacks about you?
You might be gone, and the world may not know. Still to see you celestial.
Alrighty. Regardless of the snacks, I think it's time to begin. So with that, let's switch on over to the intro screen. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Dex, and I welcome you back to the Mango Weekly live stream. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week so far, and if you're not, fret not either, because only 2 more days before the weekend, and hey, we're gonna have a fantastic weekend nonetheless, right? Who cares what your boss is saying, because you get to do what you want over the weekend. And you know what you should be doing? You should be investing in your education, so you don't have to deal with your boss no more. And no better place to do that than at Mango. We do have daily videos for you guys, as well as an educational playlist, so don't forget to check the educational playlist out at the mangoway.com/education. With that, let me introduce you to Krisha. We have the beautiful, the gorgeous, the radio voice herself, Krisha. Krisha, say hi.
And what's up, you guys? How's everyone doing today? Lots and lots and lots of good stuff to talk about.
What should we talk? Krisha, you're a tad bit low, at least on my end. Could everyone confirm if Krisha's low for you guys too? Because I don't want to.
How about now? How about now?
Yeah, way
check,
better.
Mic check. Okay, perfectamundo. Perfectamundo.
You gotta talk into the mic. You know? The mic
Julian says music needs turning down slightly. Sean, is it too loud?
I did.
Guys,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
That was the intro. You know, it's kind of like WWF, where the intro music's like loud and over blaring when it all begins. But then the music goes off and the show begins. So with that, Krisha, should we start with the with Bitcoin today? Do we start with the
I think
dashboard? Do you guys want to start with all coins? What do you guys want to talk about today? Because I know a lot of people are concerned about all. Oh, we have Stan here. Stan, good morning, buddy. And Philippe has joined us as well. How's it going, guys? How's it going? Man, so good to see you guys.
Love the seedlings in here.
You
guys always
make
make for a great
talk
stream.
about. Sure, you're saying there's a lot to talk about, right? So
There
what do you
is.
want to talk
I mean, okay, price action is one thing, but look at all the freaking bullish news that's coming out on Bitcoin. Like, it's one after the other. Past 48 hours has been insane for, you know, just the underlying fundamentals for Bitcoin and the adoption for Bitcoin. We're seeing it from companies, from governments. Russia came out, you know, announcing that it is going to you know, basically look at Bitcoin as a currency now, recognize Bitcoin as a currency. So you have that. Then there's the whole thing with there's this big hedge fund. Well, what was it, Sean? BlackRock? What is it?
Fidelity? Are you talking about Fidelity?
No, it's not not Fidelity. It was something else. But anyways, it was that. Then Apple is looking to incorporate cryptocurrency payments into the Apple Pay thing.
Indeed, and we also have fear and greed shooting up to 50, so I do want to talk about that as well, the implications of this. What does it even mean, right? I think it was Rob or Carlo who was posting this in the Grove. By the way, if you guys aren't on the Discord yet, make sure you guys do join themangoway.com/discord. You can find almost any information you want in regard to us by simply doing themangoway.com/the-word, right? So themangoway.com/seed, themangoway.com/discord, themangoway.com/education. If you guys do want other convenience links, let me know and I'll go ahead and make one for you guys. But yeah, so Kusha, you're right. We have a lot of bullish news. Okay, we have a lot of bullish news coming in. However, I do want to draw everyone's attention to the fact that we are at monthly resistance, right? This is a major resistance level that was important to us on the way towards the downside. Like, that's what allowed Mango to stay safe while the rest of the market got, for the lack of a better term, I'm just going to say, ripped one anew, right? The major level that we were looking at was essentially this 10 SMA on the monthly, I'm looking at the monthly over here, yeah, this 10 SMA right over here, correct. This candle, the month of December, when we closed underneath the 10 SMA, we were like, alright, it's not looking good. We are looking, because we got that close underneath the monthly 10 SMA, that was our if this then that condition, right? We always have an if this then that. People scoff at us for that, for not knowing anything, for not having certainty in our approach, but that's what essentially keeps us alive and profitable. And over here, what kept us alive and profitable was, hey, yes, we are on support, but if we close underneath support, we are looking for price to come down to this juncture here, right? The Tenki and the Kijun and the 21 EMA juncture, right over here on our Ichimoku template. Now, it's the opposite scenario, right? And you have to, what was important to you towards the downside needs to be important to you towards the upside, right? So I think we'd all be, it'd be prudent for us to be cautious over here, okay? Considering that we are at monthly resistance. However, the bullish news that you brought up, Kusha, is very, very, very important as well, right? In multiple ways. One, through the long-term perspective, as well as through the short-term perspective. Now, what I'm seeing through the short-term perspective is that Bitcoin needs to act over here if that bullish news is to be interpreted as bullish price action. Now, Kusha knows what I mean by that, and I'll let her explain.
All right, just making sure that you guys know. Of course, I'm here. So, I mean, I think this is something that I brought up in, well, I did a Matic video today where I give you guys an update on my trade. So, but essentially, when you're seeing all of this bullish news, right, price is currently up against resistance as well. Usually when the one lesson that I learned from the last bull market was, and this was true even then, wherein the trend changed, clearly the trend changed, we start putting in a macro downtrend, and there was still a lot of bullish news hitting, you know, just hitting everyone, and however, it was not reflecting in price.
Exactly.
So when it does not reflect in price, when there is immense bullish news that is not reflecting in price, that is a red flag. Okay, because what happened was a lot of people were still left there holding on to bags, trying to justify holding on to their bags. Now, like this was true for Bitcoin as well as many of the altcoins. Bitcoin, I would not fret for holding Bitcoin, but the altcoins, people were trying to justify holding their bags when there was bullish news on the altcoins that came out. However, that bullish news just did not reflect on the charts, and that downtrend continued, and people held their bags all the way down to an 80% dip. So you do not want to be stuck in that. So you got to make sure. So if there is bullish news and if it's coming out one after the other without any prior anticipation for the news, it's pretty much just sort of shocking everybody right now. You want to see something like this actually reflect in price action, right? Because if everyone is buying, who the hell is selling here?
Good point. So essentially, to put it succinctly, Kusha's saying that bullish news, when ignored, is bearish, right? If you do not see price following on bullish news, then that could be a bearish indication, right? Similarly with the bearish news, when you have a lot of bearish news coming in and price isn't going down, that is a big red flag to start closing out your short positions. Okay. On that note though, I don't think it's early enough to say where is the bullish news, where is the bullish price action, right? We have the bullish news. How we need to put things into context though. While we do have a lot of bullish news, we also have a lot of bearish news that we might be ignoring, mostly because we are all stuck in our own echo chamber, right? And we've got to always look out for that bias within ourselves as well as within our community, where especially things like Twitter and Reddit, you tend to follow, right? You follow a subreddit, you follow a Twitter influencer, and people have their biases, and when you start following people based on your biases, you start building an echo chamber. Now, we don't know, there's a lot of bearish news out there that is also counteracting the bullish news, and we just are ignoring it, right? So there might be bearish news that might be acting as a counterforce temporarily on price before the bullish news starts overcoming the price, right? However, if this does go on for a few days and we do start seeing key levels start being taken out on the lower time frames, then you start saying, hey, you know what, this is a lot more bearish than it is bullish. Something along the lines that we discussed back last year. We had a similar scenario that allowed us to get out of our bullish mindset a lot earlier than other people, right? So over here, if we start taking out around $42,000, then we know that, okay, you know what, the bullish news over here, because I'm looking at the 4-hour time frame, and we have a high low at 42,600. I think that if we take out that low, that's going to be the trigger for me saying, you know what, the bullish news is being overwhelmed by the bearish news or the bearish structure of the chart right now, right? On the lower time frames. On the high time frames, we still have massive long-term support underneath us. So those are my thoughts right now. This 4-hour time frame, Kusha, does have a chance to, well, see continuation here, possibly even turn into an ascending triangle. Are you seeing that?
Yes. Sean, could you turn up your mic just a tad bit? I think a lot of people are saying that they're not able to hear you over the music. So
Okay. Apologies.
just a tad bit. I think that should do it. Give us the thumbs up once it has improved. All right, guys?
All right. How's it now, guys? Let me know.
But yeah, I see what you're saying in terms of the ascending triangle. And I'm noticing that on like multiple charts right now, though. They're all sort of forming similar structures, so it really depends on whether we break from here or we break down, because we know how it works, even in terms of bullish patterns, right? In an overarching bearish trend, in an overarching macro bearish trend, even bullish structures like an ascending triangle can also break to the downside. It follows the momentum of the macro trend. So that is something that we learned. I learned it the hard way. But I mean, we've seen this, so that's why I'm saying I'm not going to jump the gun here in really calling a direction. I think it's best to like you said, to be prudent and wait on that confirmation, even if it is to the upside, before we anticipate the next move. But all I'm seeing right now is that there's immense, massive bullish news, coming at us, and very little price action to support it.
Yeah. Also, by the way, guys, keep in mind that I'm asking you guys to be cautious over here while I am in a long position. I'm in a leveraged long position. But the thing is, when you're getting into a trade, when you get in really matters, right? You don't want to be buying into resistance unless your trade hypothesis is, you know what, we are at resistance, but I think the trend has begun, and I want to get my position in regardless. But the thing is, the trend began based on what we were looking at, okay? What we've been looking at for a while now, months, years, you could actually, at least 1 year, you could say, is the 2-day dynamic. We were waiting patiently for this to clear, and this cleared a while ago, guys. This cleared a good, what was it? A good 10% ago, right? So we are come up against resistance now. So if you had activated your bullishness based on the trend, then it was around here. Okay, it was either over here, or you're waiting for a higher low, right, after retaking this dynamic over here, and that higher low may come after hitting this resistance level over here, right? So that's what you want to hunt for. Now I'm already in position, but I'm hoping, of course, that we break through this resistance. That way my trade is successful. But at the same time, I can't in good conscience tell you guys, hey guys, you should be longing over here, right? Now if, however, your and we can start talking about trading strategies over here, right? You could have a trading strategy that says, I am going to be waiting for 3 candle closes on the 2-day time frame above the mango dynamic, or whatever, right? Let's say you guys are using the 2-day 21 EMA. Would that work over here? Let's see. Let me just turn off the Ichimoku. Okay, so let's say you said, I'm waiting for 2-day candles above the 21 EMA before I go long. Okay, let's say that's your thesis. You've backtested it, you've been successful with it, blah blah blah. Then yeah, just get in. You pre-planned it, it's activated, you have to get in, right? But I've been getting a lot of questions as to people. I can sense people wanting to get into the trade because they think there's going to be a V-bottom recovery over here because we've already moved up like 20% and they're scared they're going to miss out. That's not a reason to get into the trade. The reason to get into trade is because you pre-planned it, and your notes, right? Your notes are telling you to get into a trade. That's the reason you get into a trade, period. Does that make sense, guys? I can't hear Krisha, so I'm always afraid if I lost her, if she's just muted herself.
Oh no,
She
you can hear
okay,
me.
okay.
I'm right here. I'm just reading the comment section.
I have post-traumatic syndrome after having so many technical issues with audio. Dominic Lisowski asks how dynamic graph is called in other charting tools. I cannot find it on Kraken. So the dynamic is a Mango exclusive indicator. So you're not going to find it on Kraken especially, but you may find it on the trading view list, but it's going to be locked. So you don't need to use the dynamic though, guys. Like, we use it as a convenience tool. Remember that the dynamic was created for me to be able to trade my altcoin positions with ease, because it essentially incorporates a lot of my strategies, my strategies, as well as multiple things that I look at all in one indicator, right? So it's a convenience indicator. But when I began my journey, I did not have the dynamic on hand, right? So I started using the dynamic, or rather I created the dynamic to be able to trade the altcoins without having to overthink things, because the amount of analysis I put into Bitcoin, I can't go and put into every single altcoin, right? I just don't have the time for that. So I want to be able to quickly scan, and that's what the dynamic was created for. But it ended up working really well on Bitcoin. But that doesn't mean that you guys can't come up with the same conclusions without the dynamic, right? Yeah, so we are at resistance right now. Krisha, we are at a higher time frame resistance, lower time frame resistance, monthly 10 SMA is what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about the daily neckline over here, of this $45,000 region that you marked out in your chart as well.
Yep.
However, we are flagging. It looks like we're flagging at the very least on the low time frames. We have a lot of nonsense going on around the world. The Putin issue, the Canada convoy truck issue, the issues going on in the United States with, in regards to Biden and Putin, people are worried about the trade implications of what's going to go on, the energy crisis, the bond market is throwing a fit. Nobody understands what's going on over there. We can talk about that as well today. People are yield hunting. People are dumping money into markets just based on the idea that they don't want to be losing out on inflation. There's so much going on right now. Can we really say that, hey, the bullish news is being ignored, or is there so many distractions that the bullish news is getting drowned out? Like, that's what I'm battling.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's so much to be taking in. Like it's getting really difficult to even keep up with everything that's happening right now. I don't know about you, Sean, but I'm finding it extremely hard. And so it's really about you got to pick. You got to pick what you want to follow and pick the ones that's going to keep you that's going to help you grow in a way. Don't pick while there's a ocean of things that's happening out there. Pick the ones that's going to help you grow.
I suggest
As an
people
investor, a trader.
I suggest people really spend the time noting down all their thoughts and then using their thoughts to filter out a set of rules that they want to follow over the next 5 years, right? And then drill that down to, okay, to get to that 5-year goal, what do I need to do for the 3-year mark and then the 1-year mark, right? Do that. In fact, I think I'm going to do this as an exercise for Seed. I've been thinking, I came up with a really, I'm not sure whether, I can't promise anything yet, guys, but I think I may post a new module, at least a mini module for Seed, based on something I've been thinking of doing for you guys, because I realize that I do it a lot more intuitively. But if I can lay out my mind in a structural way for you guys, where you guys can also replicate the same situation, or rather the same conclusion, it may be very beneficial for you guys, right? So similar to what I did for the risk management module for you guys, right? Because believe it or not, guys, the risk management module for a lot of you guys who are using it, or many of you who are using it, as simple as it seems, Krisha knows that it wasn't as simple when we were doing it manually ourselves, right? To distill it and make it simpler for you guys, we kind of tailored it down and we realized, this is actually awesome. And Krisha's like, I'm going to use this instead. So
Yeah.
I'm still using the older version out of habit, which is not even as good. But Krisha's like, why are you using this? And Chauvin, think about it, because Chauvin and Paolo and I have been working on another component that we want to add to Seed eventually that is a lot more sophisticated. It's a more sophisticated version of the risk management tool on Notion. And now you guys know how hard it is for me to switch to something new, because I'm still using the older version of the tool that you guys are using in Seed. So yeah. Let's take some questions, Krisha. Are there any questions that you want to address? Do people want to ask any questions and we're not going to be covering altcoins just yet. We will be covering altcoins, but not just yet, guys. Don't say, hey, what are your thoughts on so-and-so altcoin? Krisha does altcoins all week. Don't misuse this opportunity to ask us questions that you otherwise would not be able to ask on a daily video, right? Because you guys don't get to ask questions. Krisha will cover altcoins throughout the week, and we will look at altcoins today as well. But use this stream as an opportunity to think about things that you will not get answers to on other streams, because, well, people just don't know these answers. I'm not saying I know the answer. If I don't know the answer, I'll just let you guys know. But we do talk about things over here at Mango that other communities just don't talk about. Mainly, what's it like to actually lose, right? We lose a lot over here at Mango, and we are open about it. So trading is not just winning. You lose a lot. So
yeah.
Ask us
Donald
questions.
Jordan. Yeah, sorry. He says, he's like, I missed it. Are we bullish or bearish? That's just when you say that, Sean. We're up against resistance. That's what's happening right now. And see the news, like even Murli is like, hey Sean, this is what I was having trouble with. I PM'd you how to handle the crazy amount of information and news. I like this idea. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's why it's there's a lot of noise. The thing about even trading, guys, you need to understand, especially if you guys are part of social media, crypto, Twitter, even Facebook. There are a lot of these trading groups on Facebook as well, and it gets freaking noisy as hell. It's going to be hard to filter out the noise. Okay, and especially now
Yeah.
more than ever before, there's so much happening. So really understand, this is, by the way, also where discipline comes to play. Discipline is the word of the year, right? At Mango, discipline comes to play. If you are trading, you need to have your system and you need to be disciplined about that system. So even if it means cutting out the noise to help you with that discipline, you owe that to yourself. All right, if you took the time to even come up with a system, that's the least you can do for yourself.
Oh, well said. Holy shit. That's well said. If you took the time to come up with a system, that's the least you owe to yourself. Because coming up with the system is not easy, guys. Right?
No.
I want to address what Murali just said. Murali, believe it or not, man, it was your question that you sent to me via PM that prompted me to start thinking about this a lot more. Because when you asked that question, I'm like, man, how do I answer this? Because, yeah, you're going to get a lot of information all the time from a lot of sources, especially when it comes to, like, honestly, even if you ignore just news, if you just simply ignore the news, the charts alone are giving you so much information, right? The charts alone can overwhelm you. So, and then your question was like, this, it was a lot more than that. So it got me thinking, I'm like, how do I answer this in the best way? And I think when you guys ask questions, I try to put a lot. Let me put it this way. When you guys ask questions, I'm very cautious about how I answer, because I don't want to lead you guys in the wrong direction just because I want to give a quick answer, right? I try not to do more damage by just answering and sounding like I know all the answers, than just for wanting to help, right? Because people have the tendency to be like, you know what, a question has been asked, I'm gonna answer it because I want to help. But sometimes your help can damage. So in trading, that can actually be very, very, very detrimental in the long run, right? So I put a lot of time into your question, to thinking about how do I best answer this idea that, because I know a lot of people are probably getting overwhelmed with how to use indicators, how to use information, blah 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 blah. But how do I best answer this to actually help for the long run, right? So that's one of the reasons why I've been thinking about this. So yeah, just wanted to let you know that you actually inspired me to think about this a lot more. At least in a way that I could help you guys. Do you have a 1 to 3 risk management on spot low leverage holding? Do you ever risk more than to not get cut out? No, on spot I don't have a. How can you have a, okay, 1 to 3% of what though, right? Because my life is denominated in Bitcoin, so I'm not really ever risking anything. You know what I mean?
I'm just reading that question again. No. Just to answer, I mean, to answer your second part of the question, Ari, do you ever risk more to not get cut out? No, that's not how you don't want to, basically, how do I put this? As traders, sometimes, especially if you're new, you want to make sure that you get the most profit, and that most profit is going to get you into some really, really risky, volatile trades, and which is also going to require you put up a substantial amount of money, right? A substantial position on it. The thing is that you do not want to be playing around with those variables. Don't trade based on how you're feeling or what you want. You got to do it based on what you have ultimately, right? And your risk appetite. So that's where that really comes to play. And that's why I always implore the seedlings to never like mess around with risk parameters just to suit their wants.
So Carlo, I'll give you a quick heads up though. A lot of people, especially new traders, they think that when they say I'm now going to risk 1 to 3% of my of my account. They think that I'm never going to put 1 to 3% of my portfolio into a trade. That's not what it means. It means that when you do take your loss, you're not going to lose 3% or 1%, 2%, whatever you decide. And you know, that's profound in its own way if you think about it, because that if you really approach trading that way, where you say, you know what, I'm not going to lose more than 1% when I do take my loss, what does that mean? It means that you're starting with a loss first approach, right? That, okay, I could very well lose, right? I'm not going to be certainly right. I could lose, but if I do lose, I'm not going to lose more than 3%. So with that, how do you decide I'm not going to lose 3%? How do you decide that? Well, you need to have an invalidation criteria. And this is in line with the post I posted in the Mango lessons. You know, in fact, I'm just going to go ahead and read it out with you guys, because I think this post is important to all of you, important for all of you. So I'm just going to read it out to you guys. And what I'm going to try to do, guys, especially for things that I think can be applied for even the Mango community in general, is I'm going to create another section in the Grove and maybe call it Thoughts and Charts. And I'm going to post my thoughts that will help you guys with things like this. So anyways, the post over here says this. It's titled Invalidation and Confirmation. Again, for those of you on C program and haven't read it yet, please go ahead and do read it. But I'm going to read it out for you guys over here anyways. It says, Invalidation and Confirmation. One of the strongest reasons to begin every trade idea with an invalidation criteria is to ensure that you do not fall prisoner to your own biases. It's human tendency to accept with open arms any information that confirms your biases while rejecting information that contradicts your bias. This is the crux of confirmation bias, and it's what often leads to unrecoverable losses. An invalidation criteria is a sharp sword that prevents you from turning a blind eye to changing conditions, whether it be a price trend change or a fundamental change to the asset. Okay? It prevents you from those unrecoverable losses, guys. That's what's really, really important, the invalidation. Invalidation. How do you know when you are wrong? Well, you need to have that criteria pre-written. If you don't have that criteria pre-written, you will not be able to say, you know what, my 3% loss is activated, I'm out of my trade, right? It needs to start with that invalidation criteria, because without that, when do you actually lose 3%? Because then once you have that, you can then extrapolate your trade in every minute detail. But that's really important. Start every trade with, when am I wrong? It also makes you humble, because it allows you to know that you could be wrong in your trade. Nothing's for sure. Nothing.
Amen. That was actually a really good one. And I had something, I mean, that lesson sort of applied to me recently with my Matic trade, right? So that's something that I'd mentioned. So definitely go ahead and give that one a read. And especially during times like this where it's sort of a range traders market and people are trying to figure out, you know, on what side, where are we in the entire market cycle right now? Are we bullish? Are we bearish? People are still a bit torn on that, right? Especially with these rallies that we're seeing right now. And so this is where if you're trading ranges like this is where lessons like the one that Sean posted in terms of invalidations really come to play, guys. If you are actively trading here, and by all means, I think everyone should. I think these ranges are amazing. If you're actively trading here, that one is a great lesson to pay attention to.
Yep, I'm gonna go ahead and post it for you guys, because I think it's better read than it's read out. Alexandru asks, how can we discipline ourselves to accept that we are wrong into a trend? That's a good question. I'm gonna let Krisha tackle this one first, and then give my thoughts. How can we discipline ourselves to accept that we are wrong into a trend?
That's actually that's a good one. That's actually a good one. Okay. And I think this sort of drives back to what Sean mentioned earlier in the stream. It's about having that system for yourself and basically planning your trade before you even take the trade. And I think that is going to first help you determine. So the thing about discipline, even for discipline, for you to have discipline, you need certain criteria. Oh, what should you be disciplined on? Right? So those are various parameters that you set for yourself. That'd be like, okay, for me to be disciplined, I need to follow XYZ parameters. So with that, and that's where the planning really comes to play. If you can plan your trade ahead of time. So now even in a trend trade, and you get into a trade, so you plan your trade, you execute on your trade, you're sitting in your trade, and now price moves against you, and you know what, these parameters that you set for yourself suddenly are broken. And that would essentially tell you that, okay, now this is where you step up and you got to be disciplined, and you say, all right, these are the parameters. The executor, when I planned this trade, the planner in me said that, all right, I'm wrong at this current juncture, and so I am out. But I think the key focus for discipline, especially when it comes to trading, I think that comes through planning. If you can plan before you put on your trade, um, I think it'll be a lot easier for you to be disciplined when it's time to get out.
Yeah. Discipline and humility. That's the key word, or the humility. I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you really, really trade and trade even moderately long enough, these markets will humble you. There's no good trader I know who isn't a good person. You know why? Because the markets will beat out all the bad in you. All your bad habits, all your bad behavior, the markets will punish you for it. So humility is key. I'm trying to recall the study, or so there's a paper I was reading a while ago, and they referenced this term from another study from a professor in Columbia University, I believe, that coined a term called intellectual humility, where they discuss this idea where the people who are the most certain seem to know the least, right? And there's a great quote, and again I forget where this quote. I think it's Tao Zhu who says, "Those who have knowledge know nothing for certain, and those who are certain have no knowledge." Right. And then another quote from a book that Mock is here, I believe Mock is here, it's a fantasy book, but I remember these are gods. Okay, these are gods talking to each other, two gods who have lived like almost like gods. They've lived like thousands of years, and one of the characters was talking to the other guy, and he's like, "I want to be certain," and the other god lashes out at him and says, "Certainty is arrogance and bluster." Right? And that stuck with me. That stuck with me through a trading perspective. Wanting to be certain is arrogance. It's bluster. You should never ever approach anything with certainty. And knowing that will drill into your mind that you could be wrong. Right? And that gets the crux of your issue, Alexandru, or your question. How to discipline yourself to accept that you could be wrong into a trend. It's to embrace uncertainty, to embrace that you aren't sure, to embrace that you could be very, very well wrong. As strong of a Bitcoiner as I am, I leave room for me being wrong on that idea, right? I've been wrong in the past on Ethereum, and because I was wrong on Ethereum, because I left room for being wrong on Ethereum, I was able to open my mind to Bitcoin, right? So understand that the only way to discipline yourself to actually trading is to embrace being wrong as opposed to wanting to be right. There's a difference between being a forecaster and a trader, right? A trader does not want to be right. A trader wants to make money. A forecaster wants to be right because his livelihood depends on it. But you can't be right, man. You can't be right. That's not what these markets are about.
There's one more by Mark Twain. It says, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so."
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Say, repeat it again, Krisha, for them. Repeat it again, slowly.
It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so.
Yeah. So what does that mean, guys? It means what does that point to? It points to people who think they know something for sure, that just ain't so. What do? They bet everything on that idea. They bet everything on that idea that they just know for sure is correct and everyone else is wrong. They bet everything on that idea, but it just ain't so at the end of it, and they lose everything. Because if they had not bet everything, right, they would not have lost everything. But why did they bet everything? Because they were so sure they were right. They were so sure. And you know what? They could have been. But was it worth the risk to reward? At one point, there's diminishing returns to what you could gain from your trade of being so right, 100% correct on it. But the losses, the risk starts accelerating at one point. Let's say you're betting 80% of your net worth, right? Again, even this is ridiculous, but let's say you're betting 80% of your net worth. It means that you're leaving that 20% chance that you could be wrong. You're not willing to let go of everything. But let's say you bet 100% of your net worth. Well, you could lose everything if you're wrong. But now, think about it. 80% on its own is a lot, right? How much more are you gaining by that other 20%, by putting that other 20% on the line? Hey, if you're wrong and you leave possibility for that, at least if you are wrong, you're not left with anything. You're not destitute, right? So never, ever go down that path. Leave room for being wrong.
Boom. What's going on, IJ? IJ has joined the stream.
Hey, IJ, how's it going, my man? How's it going? I was hoping you make it today. And Tan is in here too. Hey, how's it going, Tan? Kusha, Alina has a really good question. I'm going to let you...
I was just,
I'm going to
So
let you take that
Alina
one.
asked, she's like, I really need help with this. Are we using closes as invalidation points? Can you give an example of walking through a plan as a best practice? Now, I'm not on my chart, but I can sort of give you I can draw in from my Matic video from today. Now I had to get out of that trade in Alina because I was invalidated on that trade. My invalidation point came in at $1.95. Now I wait. So when it comes to invalidation points, I wait on the candle body closes. Now, for instance, on my Matic position, I was playing that on the 4-day time frame. I noticed that the $1.95 region was a very, very important region on the 4-day time frame. And today we opened a brand new 4-day candle. So I said, so here, this was my criteria. I said that if Matic closes candles over $1.95, I am invalidated on my trade. But the close is important because let me tell you something. When I started trading and when Sean was really walking me through and I was sitting through the seed program, and I was doing a lot of back testing while going through every module of the seed program. I always spend time after each module to go and do a bit of testing and back testing and trading the concepts that I learned. Now in that, I noticed I went back. Like and this was not just crypto charts that I used. I was also using the traditional charts to do my back testing and my trading, even if it was paper trading. And so while doing that, I sort of went back to test these mock trades that I put up. And you'll be surprised to find how many times, the number of times a candle can go over your invalidation point. In my instance, it was $1.95, only for that very candle to close underneath $1.95. And for that trend to then have continuation to the downside, right?
Yeah.
In the direction that you had initially anticipated, in the direction that you were trading. And that's why those candle closes, and let me tell you something, it was excruciating for me, and that's why I even waited to before I even released a video on Matic, because I knew that okay, if I post a video before my close, I feel like that would incite some sort of bias in me, and I was just not willing to break my discipline just to put out a video out there, right? So I said I'm gonna wait it out. I'm gonna wait until I get some closure on this, until that 4-day closes, and I have a tell before I post a video. That way it's not affecting my discipline and it's not setting in any biases for me. Right, so that's something I had to do. But yeah, this is one good example that I covered today was Matic at $1.95. You can see it on Sean's chart right there. So always wait on the candle closes. So the invalidation will come to you on candle body closes.
And this Matic candle is freaking strong, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Damn. This reminds me of what Sachin posted in the Mango Sprouts section as well, in regards to, again, this is in the seed program. He posted a chart. He posted 2 charts and 2 coins, and both of them took back key necklines. I'm seeing that on Matic as well. Was it Matic he posted? I don't think it was Matic. I know one of them was Matic. But yeah, this all coins, looking good.
Yeah.
What is Bitcoin dominance doing? Bitcoin dominance here.
Bitcoin dominance is actually ticking up. I was looking at, and that's why I'm so torn. So even Matic right now, I'm torn. And there was this one guy on the comment section. He's just like, "What are you talking about?" Right? Because I said that, you know what, I can, even though price closed well on Matic, Sean, like on many of these charts, we're still up against major resistance. And so, I mean, I was following my rules there. These are parameters. This goes back to the
Yeah,
question that
you're
we
gonna
got in regards
lose.
to discipline. But this is where your parameters come to play, right? You gotta employ that discipline. If you're the person who planned the trade, your inner manager who planned the trade told you that, hey, this is your invalidation point. You listen to that manager. Do not let the
Yeah.
executor in you take over, because the executor in you is emotional because you're already invested in the trade. All right, so you follow your parameters. Um, but
I
yeah.
want to say this. I want to say this. So
Mhm.
Elena says, can you give an example of walking through a plan as a best practice? Uh, I don't say this out explicitly because I don't want people to like copy trade it really. But really, if you guys do think about it, I tell you guys everything I'm going to do. I tell you guys everything I'm going to do. I tell you guys what I'm seeing, what my bias is, and what I'm going to do, right? And I don't tell you guys that you guys should be doing this ever, because you guys could have a different bias. But if you guys think about it, right? I've always kept it so simple. I've always kept it so simple. Go back through all the Mango videos. I've been wrong. I've taken losses. I've talked about my losses. I've talked about my mistake. Like over here during this period, I made mistakes on my execution. And Candice has a good question on execution that we'll talk about very soon. But I made mistakes over here, and you learn from those mistakes where you lose out on opportunities. But was this 6K? This is I'm talking about over here. Yeah, this area here. So all of this to say is that I keep my plans very simple, in that, hey, we come down to monthly support, I'm going to be a buyer. If we close underneath monthly support, I'm going to be a seller. I'm going to leave. Like over here, we are trading the weekly a lot, right? I'm going to go ahead and we didn't have the Mango dynamic back then, of course, but during this zone over here, we are trading the weekly a lot. And we got some really good trades by simply saying, you know what, we come down to so-and-so level. Kushal, do you remember the trade at 7,000? Okay, I'll tell you guys a story that I haven't told you guys. Usually we talk about the COVID scenario, right? I'll tell you guys about this scenario here. I'll tell you guys where I went wrong, and then where I ended up being right as well. Blah blah blah. But you guys will see the roller coaster of making a emotional, or rather a greedy mistake, not letting the emotions get to me, and then recovering from it, right? So over here, during this entire period, I was bullish. Yeah, I was bullish. Everyone was beginning to get bearish, but my criteria for getting bearish hadn't triggered yet. Okay, just switch on over to the Ichimoku, and you guys can see that when did I get bullish? My criteria for getting bullish, or sorry, bearish, because I was bullish the entire period. My criteria for getting bearish was if we either close underneath the Tenkin or open underneath the Tenkin. Okay, and I told you guys that, those of you who are still here from back all the way over here, I told you guys that I'm going to get bearish as soon as we do that. But the entire time I was just sticking to my very simple rules, where that as long as we're above the weekly Tenkin, I'm going to just keep taking the longs off the Tenkin, right? Every time we got a test on the weekly Tenkin, I bought it, I traded the range to the top of the range, and then I would look for the next trade. But if we did close or open underneath the weekly Tenkin, I would turn bearish and look for the downside move. Well, the Monday came and we opened underneath the Tenkin, and I was like, guys, I am bearish and I'm putting on my short position, right? Because this entire period, guys, you don't understand, this is weeks of price action, right? People were giving me so much BS for being bullish, just for following my rules, because they're like, it's bearish. And you know what, they were right, but my rules told me to stick to the plan. Then finally I got bearish over here, right? I put on the trade, and what do you know, guys? I did not make any money on this trade, even though it went down, because I got greedy on the shorter term time frames, whether I saw another trade opportunity. I'm like, you know what I can do is I can take this upside trade over here on Bitcoin, get out of that trade in time, and then I'll get that much more of a victory towards the downside. Okay, basically I was trying to overtime things. I was trying to get cute with my position. And I think it was maybe 6 hours or 12 hours after I put on my, and to put on my trade, I had to essentially get out of my other trade, right? I had to like go neutral on that trade and put on a new position to go a net short. Otherwise, it would just cancel each other out. Sorry, net long. So my net short position was essentially out of the picture suddenly, and price dumps 12 hours later, I believe it was. And I was just like, holy shit. I tried to get cute. I tried to get greedy. Why? Because of overconfidence, right? This entire period, I killed it. I felt like I was nailing almost everything. And that overconfidence made me miss out on a nice trade that, guys, you collect that much more Bitcoin on a short move towards the downside when it's volatile, especially, right? You collect that much more Bitcoin. And that hurt. That hurt. I was like, what did you do? What did you do? But I never let that go. I never forgot that moment, this moment over here. Up to this day, I remember this, and it prevents me from making those mistakes again, where I get greedy for other positions, and I'm like, no, don't let that shake you out of your current position, because you don't know when your current longer term position thesis will get activated. Then after that, I had a new thesis, or rather a new trade idea, which was already pre-planned, right? Basically, what we were looking for over here, guys, was a downside move towards support. Okay, so I missed the downside move because I got cute, but now that new trade activated, right, where we were at support. So I had to shake it off, and I actually went long over here. Okay, and this was actually really interesting because my thesis now, okay, my plan was until we close, and Lena, I think you were around during this period. My thesis at the time was until we close a weekly underneath this level over here. Okay, I am not getting out of my trade, no matter what. And it was freaking bearish, guys, over here. Everyone was calling for 4K during this period. Kisha, do you remember this area here?
Yes, sir.
Everyone was calling for back down for 4K. Everyone. Okay, but I was supposed to long it, right? We had this juncture over here, and this juncture. I think we had the weekly 55 EMA. Pull it up. Weekly 55. Yeah, it was the weekly 55. There you go. I actually remember it, right? Yeah, there you go. The weekly 55 was right over there, right? This green line over here, guys, is the weekly 55. And we also had the support line right over here that I marked out for you guys. Right over there, right? So weekly 55 as well as that horizontal. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to keep it very simple, very simple. I'm going to long that, and only if we close a weekly underneath will I get out of my trade. I was willing to be wrong on it. Even after taking this hit over here of missing a trade, it was emotionally not easy. It was not easy. Like, I'll be literally publicly taking 2 losses, right? Essentially, because over here, I told you guys that I was going to go long, and I did not. I was going to go short. Instead, I went long, and I did a video right after telling you guys, because I didn't need to do that, by the way. I didn't need to come out and tell you guys that, by the way, guys, I did not end up making any money on that trade because I went long like an idiot. But I came out and told you guys that. And now I'm freaking going long again. But that was my plan. That was my plan to go long. So I stuck to it. And this was the scary bit over here. You guys see this wick? It's really easy to look at this big green candle right after that, but not go through the emotion of this wick over here. And that's why I tell you guys, especially in seed, that go through the emotions of the chart, backtrack it, and ask yourselves really, how do you have traded it? I was long during this wick, and this wick, by the way, happened during the freaking weekend. So leading into that weekend, this candle over here, guys, was freaking red. Okay, it wasn't that low, but we had a red candle, and I want you guys to all picture. Try to picture this. Try to picture what this structure looked like leading into that weekly close. Okay, think about it. We had a big red candle. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, almost 4 weeks leading to the final week of sideways action, and then this. What does that look like to you guys? It looks like a freaking weekly bear flag that is breaking down. But my criteria was, I'm going to wait for the weekly close. And this all happened on a Saturday, okay? This down move happened on a Saturday. And what do you know? I think it was a Saturday evening or the Sunday morning, okay? I remember Telegram, there were a few snarky bears on mango that were really giving me trying to like rub it in my face that Sean's gonna lose again, blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna lose, man. Like I don't win all the time. But Xi Jinping announced that China's initiative is blockchain, blah blah blah. Some China announcement, and boom, we had this candle right after. It happened in one morning, and I was rewarded for sticking to my rules, right? Which was a simple 55 EMA candle close. Very, very simple. So like I always tell you guys what I'm doing. It's always so simple as just these higher time frame candle closes. Like think about this time around. It was what do I keep telling you guys? Monthly dynamic, monthly Ichimoku, right? Over and over again. I keep saying the same thing in this zone over here. Kushan, we were doing videos throughout those months that we kept testing the monthly dynamic, and we said as long as you're closing above, can't get bearish. We were ready mentally to get bearish, but we're closing above, can't get bearish, and then we got this candle over here. Had to flip bullish.
Yeah.
I feel like Kushan wants to say something, but yeah.
Oh no, I'm looking at Bitcoin right now. Looks like it wants to break. But we'll see. We'll see. Bitcoin is looking very interesting here. That's the thing. The markets, it's not an easy read at the very. I mean, if you're just looking at the TA, it's okay. But like I'm looking at everything, around us. It's pretty insane to see all of this sort of unravel. And Sean, today's CPI also comes out. The CPI numbers come out today. We also saw the bonds rally. So we have all of these sort of undernotes
Do
playing
you
in the
think
background.
do you think CPI is going to come out? So the bond market is pricing in CPI coming in higher.
Yes, yeah. So
The 10 years at almost 2%. That is ridiculous.
so it's all of this is pretty. Dixie is taking a bit of a hit, not that much. What's
Kushan,
gold? Yeah, go on.
I want you to answer Candice's question. She has a really good question. I think you'll have a nice answer to this one. You've done your homework, she says. You've developed a thesis. You have an invalidation point. But you don't take the trade only to see it go in the direction of your thesis. How do you overcome the inability to execute?
Okay, this is so it's more in terms of you would be able to answer this better than me, Sean.
Yeah.
But this is it's so I had some okay, I've got to be completely honest. I had a very similar sort of obstacle when I first started trading, where I used to come up with and I had a journal. You can ask Sean. I used to have a journal and I used to plan all my trades, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and I didn't end up doing anything. So those trades are just sitting there. Trades that were supposed to be trades turned into paper trades because I was too scared to get into the position. So what I started doing was well, it's not. How do I put this? I started sort of training myself to just take that leap. So when I put it on my book, I said that okay, now that it's on here, I'm gonna go ahead and just now that I've planned it, I'm gonna go ahead and place the bid on on the order book. I'm gonna wait for it to execute. I think it's about at least for me, this is how I played it, how I overcame it. It was about really just putting on the trades out there, and over time you sort of build an appetite for it. I think it's an appetite for risk that you need to build up in that aspect, and that's how over time I sort of overcame that fear. But a big part of me overcoming that fear was also the risk management sheet. Now Candice, you have access to that, right? Now if you really have to go ahead and look at those variables on the sheet, there's a aspect of it that can really calm you down in terms of really understanding, okay, you've risked this much. How much do you stand to lose? And when you look at that losing number on a, if you just look at the number, the dollar value of how much you stand to lose, given that you have executed your trade properly, given that you have all your variables set in, when you look at that number, it's not as daunting anymore. So that's something that I kept doing. So now every time I put on my trade, I used to plan my trade, but I used to look at, okay, what is that cutoff? What is my invalidation here? At what point do I lose how much the 1% or the 2% I intended on risking, right? What is that number? And as soon as I see that number, right, I'm not as intimidated anymore. So which also allowed me to just go ahead and just put the trade on, because I suddenly know, I'm like, okay, my downside is just this. I can afford this, right? I have a lot of conviction. This is my trade setup, and I'm willing to to just sort of put it out there. But I always look at that nominal sort of number first. That's sort of that's what keeps me at ease.
Yep.
That's a long-winded answer, but yeah,
What
that's the answer.
Kusha is what Kusha should really also emphasize, especially since she's done this far more than I have, is trading on like so Kusha traded paper traded, right? Essentially, I don't like paper trading. What I like to do is, and I suggest you guys do this too, is take $100, lose real money, but pretend it is $100,000, right? So I traded that. That's what I did in the beginning. I'm like, okay, when I started losing a lot of money, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put in $100 into an account, pretend it is $100,000. I'm gonna see if I can actually make money on this $100,000 account, right? Because when you lose $100 too, you're still going through the emotion of losing real money. Like, even though it's little, it's real money. But Krisha paper traded a lot. So that basically gave her confidence eventually in her ability to make money in the long run. So this is my question to you, Candice. Why do you want to execute right away? Why, right? Why do you want to execute right away? It might be because you're trying to make money versus trying to be a trader. It's just two different things, right? Two different things. Wanting to make money is good, but that's the next step after learning how to actually trade first. So what I think you need to first do, Candice, is prove to yourself that you can make money in the long run. The reason you're not executing is because you are afraid of losing. The reason you're afraid of losing on per trade is because you don't have any belief in your long-term ability as a trader. To build that long-term ability as a trader, you need to go through what Kusha did with paper trading, or go through what I did with my smaller account, my $100 account, $200 account, whatever you want to choose, and then prove to yourself that, hey, damn, I turned $100 into $500, or I turned $100 to $200. That means I can turn a $100,000 account into $500,000, right? You need to prove that to yourself first. And that's not going to happen with winning every single trade. That's going to happen once you submit to being infallible, to being fallible, to essentially the idea that you can lose, that every trade can be a loser. Every single trade that you take, that trade can be the loser, right? You need to submit to that idea. But you need to believe that in the long run, you're going to be fine. You're going to be more than fine, because I believe in my strategy. You're going to tell yourself, right? Because I've already done it once. I'll be able to do it again. You've not done that yet. That's why you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe in your long-term strategy, because you're trying to win on every single trade. People don't execute on good trades is because they're trying to win on every single trade. Don't try to win on every single trade. Try to win in the long run, right? And the only way you can do that is by first proving that to yourself. I hope that helps.
That was good. That was a good answer. That's why I spent a lot of time, guys. That's why I keep telling you guys after every, and this is when I get new seedlings into the chat, this is something I always tell them over PM at the very least. I always tell them about starting off with paper trading to practice the different concepts that they learn. It's because of this basically because of what Sean said. It will give you confidence in that underlining method. And as soon as you build confidence, it just gets easier. It's just easier to put on your trades when you know that, okay, you know what? I think I'm confident with this, and there's been great playthrough on here. I've tried, various paper trades, and it's all worked out, right? At least the probability of your wins has trumped the probability of your losses. So start gaining that confidence in everything that you're learning in the seed program.
Richard Cardano says that the CPI components, they were changed again in early Jan.
What?
Wow, that was loud. But if they keep changing it, what does CPI even mean anymore, man?
It's a joke. Did you guys know that Canada's CPI does not include housing? Any Canadians in here? Isn't that laughable? Like, that's ridiculous. It does not include housing. An
Because
average
housing's not
home
important,
costs
Kusha. Like,
an average home
you
costs
don't
$1 million.
need You don't need
You-
a house.
If y'all look at me without my face, I'm actually just Beyonce.
You don't need you don't need a house in a country that goes to sub 30 degrees Celsius, a negative 30 degrees Celsius. Who needs a house?
We
The
just live in it.
truckers are proving it, Krisha. Imagine that's the next talking point for the liberals. Housing prices are fine. You don't need a house. Look at the truckers.
It's insane. So I'm actually really curious. Do you know what the new basket is? I like how they're always changing our basket of goods.
You will have nothing and you will be happy, says Julian.
Who said that? I think Sean was telling me about this. Who said that? Was it
Sure.
Yes.
The World Economic Forum's was it
Oh yeah, he's
there's a
he's
paper written. Yeah.
He was the
Sh-
Rothschild.
Someone
He's
says
a
subside.
descendant
Yeah, he's a
of
descendant of the
Rothschild.
Rothschild.
You're not gonna find that on his Wikipedia page though, eh? On his Wikipedia page, it appears that he's come from very humble background, a very, very humble background.
So Alina says, Kusha, on the weekly time frame, you can take a substantial loss for the close. How do you manage that? Showan has a good reply. Says substantial losses come from your risk management rather than the weekly candle. If you use the MRM to position size, you would have been protected from the weekly dump, Alina Camp. Exactly. If you use the concept of the seed program, you will be protected no matter what time frame you use.
Yes, sirree. And that's yeah. Shervin pretty much gave you the answer on a platter there. And that's the thing, all of you guys, Alina, Candace, you guys have access to all of these things, so use it well. And if you have any questions, just ask.
You guys don't understand how I have literally given you guys my entire trading strategy just through the risk management module. If you guys really think about it, and understand it, and I've explained it, right? Watch it once, twice, 3 times if you guys have to. Understand how much edge there's just in using that. Just in using that, like... It's why Krisha can take a loss on Matic and just shrug it off and move on to her next trade.
Yes, pretty much. Because also Matic, like if you just go ahead and look at the range, right, that I was playing, you'll notice that was Matic's actually a really, really volatile chart. But it was not I mean, I didn't endure too much pain on that at all. I came out net positive, but I could have done way, way, way better. But think about that range alone. Now I'm just calculating the range. That's a good 32%, Alina. 32%. And if you're off, now people would go like 5, 10x freaking leverage and get completely wrecked and get wrecked for the other trades to come. Right? The thing about misplacing your variables, if you screw up, you can wreck yourselves for the trades to come in the future. So you will not have that mental sort of the emotional stability to be able to put on the next trade because you've been so scarred by this current loss.
Share Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame.
Yeah, it's looking good. I think it's a flag. I think a symmetrical triangle break. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Carlo asked about the lower time frames, and these are my thoughts. Carlo, we covered the low time frames right at the beginning of the video, man. This is it. I'm looking at the structure over here, and I don't want to get too. I don't want to overplay the idea that hey, there's too much bullish news. Everyone's bullish. We may break because trying to be a contrarian trader has not worked out for people in the long run. There's a time when it's good to be a contrarian, and Kusha, we can talk about crypto fear and greed over here because people have been pulling this up, and people are saying, "Hey, we were at extreme greed, extreme fear just a few weeks ago, and now we're suddenly at 50. So neutral is considered. Oh, people are being way too bullish." You just think about that. People are saying that people are way too bullish because sentiment is at neutral. So shouldn't that give you pause and be like, wait a minute, is it suddenly? Because what that's telling me is that far too many novice traders are trying to be contrarian traders. right? Different to say, Kishore, you get what I mean,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you guys are beginning to get the idea that I have, or rather the notion I have in my mind. Because, and I've talked about this before in the past, using sentiment is very, very powerful when sentiment is at extremes, right? I talked about how it is extreme emotions that cause people to make irrational decisions, right? We talked about how the frontal cortex of your brain is what is responsible for making rational decisions, and it's the amygdala that essentially short circuits the frontal cortex and makes you make irrational decisions, right? Depending on the context of what is happening around you. So the amygdala is responsible for the flight and flee response, which is what may trigger in an extreme scenario. And that's what it is supposed to, you want to be in a flight or flee, fight or flee response scenario when your life is in danger, right? When there's a huge bear attacking you, right? You want to be able to stop thinking about complex mathematics in your mind, and you want to just run for your life, right? You don't want to be thinking rationally, right? Rational thought, mathematics, all is done in the frontal cortex, but the amygdala is responsible for protecting your life in a scenario where things are very, very, very dangerous. So what the amygdala does, it short circuits the frontal cortex, and it makes you focus on just surviving. Now, that is in the scenario, that's helpful in a scenario where a bear is actually coming at you. But when the market is the bear that is coming at you, you're not really dying, right? Unless, your entire livelihood, you've bet your entire livelihood in the markets. Well, in that case, you should be getting out anyways. But that's not usually the scenario when people panic sell. That's why extreme fear can be an indication of people are being irrational, because the amygdala is kicking in, and you may see people make stupid decisions, right? However, in every other scenario, guys, and this is where the entire efficient hypothesis theory versus the markets are inefficient at all times theory starts coinciding, in my opinion, right? Because you have two sides of the camp, and I'm in the middle, where people are saying markets are always inefficient, so always be a contrarian. And then there are people like Warren Buffett who says, hey, markets are efficient Warren doesn't actually say that. I'm wrong with that. I'll take that back. But there are efficient market theorists out there who believe that markets are always pricing in everything correctly, so there's no edge to be had whatsoever, while there are other people who are saying that markets are always inefficient. I'm in the middle, and I'm saying that, you know what, there are times of extreme emotion where the markets are inefficient, but at other times, markets can be very, very reasonable in pricing things in properly. So when you're seeing neutral over here, maybe that's around the time where you want to say, you know what, maybe the market is not being irrational, right? Maybe the market is being rational over here. And what is the whole story telling you? Well, the market is getting supported on the monthly dynamic, as we showed you. Monthly Kijun, monthly 21 EMA, not the monthly Tenkin yet. But if we do close this month well, above anywhere above 39,330, well, we will reclaim the monthly Tenkin as well. However, if this ascending triangle breaks towards the upside and starts continuing, and we hold that for the next 3 weeks, we would have essentially also claimed the monthly 10 SMA, which is coming in, well, right here actually, at around 45,000. So look at the big picture, look at everything, understand that humans can be irrational, but they can also be very, very rational when their emotions are not completely at extreme levels. It's only at extreme levels that people are making bad decisions, not at all times. Okay.
Amen.
Makes sense, guys? That makes sense. I know it's a bit long-winded, but
Moving here.
I'm going to take a quick washroom break. I'll let you.
Yes, sirree. Richard Cardona, Bitcoin USD approaching about 12-hour and 1-day 200 moving average. If BTC passes through, what do you think Bitcoin dominance accelerating? I think Bitcoin dominance is already accelerating. If you look at it on the weekly time frame, I think it's looking good. But let's go ahead and I want to pull up the 200. Are you sure we're up again against 200? Let me
It
go
might
and
come up.
pull it up on the daily. Let me see. What are your... So you're looking at the 12-hour and the 1 day.
Mm.
12-hour. Oh, are they like sitting in line? What the hell? Wait, 12-hour. Okay, 12-hour 200 simple comes in at around 49.2k. Daily also comes in at 49.2k. Take a bow. So, yeah, this is actually looking pretty good. Good freaking chance we actually come up there. So I was initially looking at $47,000. Now that's the region that I was telling you guys about now for days on end. I think if Bitcoin really starts showing strength even along 47k, even for the next couple of weeks to come, that's gonna look very good for the bulls. And I think the one market that's sort of giving us a tip on this is I don't know, man. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking SPY is looking excellent here. Anyone else looking at S&P? So this is Bitcoin. Let me just go ahead and pull up. I mean, I wish you guys could see my chart, but it's okay. So yeah, the symmetrical triangle also, by the way, that's playing out on the 4-hour time frame, that would send Bitcoin up to that 47k region. But we get there, I think there's a good chance that even 200 simple moving average is a good test, and especially because of the confluence that we're seeing there. Guys, go ahead and pull up your daily and your 12-hour 200 simple moving average. Good catch on this. But so I think someone in the comment section also mentioned about I think one person had, let me see if I can find that comment. Okay, Frank Scola. A pullback to 40 to 41,000 before the next leg up to 50 to 52,000 on Bitcoin just seems like it makes total sense to tap into the recent long positions plus reset RSI, no? He says also create a solid higher macro low to base the next leg up off of. So that second part, create a solid higher low, higher macro low. Yes, that would, but at that point, that actually would be a solid macro low. At least it looked like a V bottom up. I'll say that. I'll say that. So at this point, it'll really come to question whether this was, you can't even really call this a bear market now suddenly, right? If we actually do a V bottom up at this point, and Sean and I were actually talking about Bitcoin structure the other day, and I was looking at the two sort of peaks that we have on the monthly time frame that you're seeing on his chart right now. So we put in a high on May, which was around that 60k region. We got back up there on October, but on October or November, what was that month? This was November. In November, we actually took out the wick highs from May, right? So we've essentially really put in another higher high there if you're looking at the wicks. So we're looking at this ascending triangle that he, once again, has drawn out on his, no, he doesn't have it drawn out on his chart, but you can see it right there, right? We've been talking about this as well. This is one of the plays that we're postulating, wherein this could very well just draw out a ascending triangle. And in that case, we're just looking at a prolonged consolidation as opposed to a as opposed to a bear market. So that's something I'm going to be keeping my eyes on. But yeah, 40k I think is a good bid. Do you know how fear and greed index is calculated? If you scroll down, it'll give you the variables, as in what they look at to calculate the fear and greed index. If you get on over to the fear and greed index chart, the little wheelie thingy right there, the meter, that will, if you just scroll down on that page, it'll tell you how it gets calculated, all the variables that they include in there. Alina says, is that the 200 SMA or the Keynesian? It's the 200 SMA that Richard was talking about. It's the same thing on the 12-hour as well as the daily time frame, which is pretty good. Philippe says, BTC on the 12-hour gives an interesting picture. If we close about here, we have a continuation of the uptrend on the 12-hour and putting in again a new higher candle close. I agree. It does look freaking interesting. When do we close the 12-hour? So about in an hour and 20 minutes.
The 12-hour had a
Yeah.
great edge-to-edge trade as well.
Yeah, and also notice how so I don't know about you guys, I'm not sure how many of you guys marked out the little band that I had on my chart from one of the Bitcoin videos. But Sean, I was looking at that region that came in at around what was this? 44.3K. And like today's 12-hour today's daily close, we closed like slightly over that region. Like it
Yeah.
was so slight. And so when I saw that, I'm like, okay, even if we do get a dip, the dip is going to be a buy, right?
So as soon as I woke up today, right at the can close, the first thing I said to Krusha was, "We closed well." That's literally what I was looking at.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Just look at
It's
this
looking
house
good.
too. Yeah.
I think this breaks the current consolidation that we're in. The measured move will take us up to 47,000. We start showing strength on 47,000. I think yeah, 200 simple moving average. Here we come.
Dominic Lisowski asks, what are the possible outcomes of today's US CPI? There are two outcomes. CPI comes in hot, or CPI comes in underneath people's expectations. If CPI comes in underneath people's expectations, well, that's going to be really, really interesting. If CPI comes in hot, well, March is going to be super interesting. I'm still leaning towards the rest of the year, rather, like from around summerish to September. CPI beginning to drop, not significantly, not all the way down to like around 1% or something like that, but perhaps down to 3 to 4%. Primarily because of base effects, right? Year-over-year changes. They're going to be comparing to changes from last year, right? Last year CPI was around June, July was beginning to pick up. So now the new CPI will be compared to last year's CPI around that time. So understand the base effects can have a massive impact on the actual number. CPI, when they show you year-over-year CPI, it's not really telling you the information you need to know, which is essentially that your money is losing value at a compounded rate every single year.
That's insane to think about.
If you guys think about the 12-hour thing that Philippe mentioned, it lined up perfectly with, or rather, the edge-to-edge trade when it did trigger, which was essentially somewhere around here. As soon as we closed 2 candles, you could look for 3 if you want confirmation. So somewhere around here, right? It lined up with the 2-day dynamic close as well. So the 2-day dynamic close, let me pull up the time, was somewhere around here at close above 41,000-ish. You can see that we kind of got in the retest of the dynamic, of the 2-day dynamic, but it was front run, right? What was it front run by? Well, now you can see that was essentially the 12-hour edge-to-edge trade from the bottom of the cloud to the top of the cloud that was triggering right over there. So again, we've not finished the edge-to-edge trade completely yet, but we kind of only tested around 45,500-ish. Right, it looks like it wants to officially test it. But I'll give you guys a quick tip on one of my trading strategies, especially with the 12-hour edge-to-edge cloud trade and the Tenkin key. So this is the trade. Note this down, guys. When you see the Tenkin cross over the Kijun, the 21 EMA cross over the Tenkin, and price start breaking into the cloud, expect an edge-to-edge trade to the top of the cloud. I say expect it like it's going to be a certain trade. No, it's not certain, right? Again, high probability trade. We get an edge-to-edge trade to the top of the cloud, and for all coins, there's a high probability that we wick to the 200 MA moving average, especially when it's above the cloud, right? So the 200 moving average could expect a wick, especially if this was an all-coin setup. Now remember, we're looking at Bitcoin over here, so we don't necessarily need to see it. But if you see the same setup, okay, look at the chart, take a screenshot. I'm giving you guys gold right now. Look at the setup over here: 21 EMA Kijun, Tenkin, okay, in this order. Tenkin above the Kijun, 21 EMA starts edging above the Tenkin, price breaks into the cloud, 200 moving average lining above the cloud, expect a wick to the top of the cloud on your altcoins, and then look to see whether you close above the cloud or inside the cloud. More often than not, what altcoins do is they wick into the cloud, close underneath the cloud, go sideways, perhaps test the Tenkin Kijun down again, and then you see this flat structure here, we break out of there, and then we trend up. At that point, what ends up happening, man, I sound like such a chart nerd over here. Clearly, you guys can see how much I've. What ends up happening is the cloud turns green, and then a brand new trend starts. So I hope you record this moment because this I just gave you guys a golden trading strategy. So yeah.
What are you munching on, Sean?
Cashew nuts.
Yum.
All right. Krisha, what are your thoughts on Dixie? I know Krisha's been looking at Dixie like every morning. I walk into her office and like, what chart is that? She's like, Dixie. Every morning is like Dixie.
It just it just happens. It's a coincidence. It's like every time you walk in, it's always a Dixie chart that's just opened up, and it's so weird because I mean I'll just take one glance at it once a day, and it's just that one time I do it, he walks into my office. But it's looking. I mean, just look at this freaking weekly, man. It looks like crap. What is this? It's like an engulfing bearish thing. Dixie looks like the dollar looks like it wants to lose strength even further.
But what about last week? You just said, "Hey, this is so bullish." Is Dixie
gotta
just
look at
ignoring
the-
all TA?
I don't know.
Or
I mean, right now
is
this
everyone
doesn't
looking
look
at the wrong time frame? Maybe it's the monthly. Look at the monthly. The monthly is very neat.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
Kisha's not convinced.
I guess. I mean, but look, that just looks like blood.
So what exactly is the Dixie? Tell me, Kisha. I mean, I know, but I want you guys to answer. What is the Dixie? I want all of you guys to think about this. What is the Dixie? What is this telling you?
The strength of the dollar. I'm thinking more in terms of demand of the dollar.
What about you guys? Julian, what is the Dixie to you? IJ, what is the Dixie to you? Adona, Richard, what is the Dixie to you guys? Like, what is it really telling us? Purchasing power of the dollar? Purchasing power of what though? Of what? What do you want to purchase with it? Purchasing power of... Okay, so Julian has a nice answer. He says, it's the dollar versus a basket of other currencies. So if it's a dollar against a basket of other currencies, what does that tell us? Is it really telling us the strength of the dollar? Let's talk about some. Let's use an analogy of something we can all relate. If Bitcoin dominance is going up, does that necessarily mean that Bitcoin is strengthening? Because people say US dollar, the Dixie is a indication of dollar strength, right? But the dollar going up, the Dixie going up, does that mean that the dollar is strengthening?
Are you saying that it's much
Julian, it's a weighted average of the major currencies. So different currencies have it's a weighted average based on how much each of those currencies are traded. So yeah, Kusha, what was your question?
So I said, do we look at it as something similar to that of Bitcoin dominance?
Yes, I think that's a better way to look at it, because then if you start looking at it the way you look at Bitcoin versus other altcoins, a lot starts becoming simpler. Like a lot of your questions and fears start getting answered or eradicated, because the dollar going up does not mean that your long-term thesis on other trades is going down. Dollar strengthening does not necessarily mean that the dollar is not weakening. Dollar is strengthening against other assets that are weakening at a faster rate. Like we said, if Bitcoin is dumping and altcoins are dumping faster, Bitcoin dominance goes up, right? Bitcoin dominance could go up when the entire market's dumping. Bitcoin's dumping, altcoins are dumping harder, Bitcoin goes up. Similar story with Dixie. Dixie is dumping, other currencies are dumping harder, Dixie goes up.
So
right?
according to you, what do you think is happening right now with Dixie? Now
Okay.
that Dixie
So
looks weaker
so
in
what I
terms of
think is
like, yeah.
happening is that no, Dixie's not looking weak here. Dixie's fine here. Dixie's chopping on the lower time frames,
Okay, yeah, I guess
on like the
chopping.
mid time frames, right? And I think the
Yeah.
reason the mid time frames are chopping is because there are a few countries out there that are not following suit on weakening their currency further, right?
Mhm.
They're tightening a bit because they cannot afford to. There are a lot of weaker countries out there, developing countries. They cannot afford to just let inflation get out of control because this is one of the reasons why I'm kind of concerned about Canada, but I don't know enough to be fully concerned or raise any alarms. But weaker countries do not have the luxury of letting inflation get out of control because they are not a reserve currency where there is global demand for the currency and putting upward pressure, buy pressure
Mhm.
essentially on that currency,
Yeah.
right? So inflation can be a spiraling effect. So they got to rein in inflation. And while during the COVID years they were able to do it after years and years of not having to like overinflate, they have to kind of rein it in now, or they risk losing everything. So there are a lot of countries who are saying, you know what, we're not going to increase monetary supply this year. We may even tighten for the first quarter, and there are countries who have done that, right? So you're seeing. So what does it tell you? There are certain currencies that are getting stronger against the dollar this year, right? That doesn't mean that the dollar is necessarily weakening or strengthening. It just means that other countries are getting stronger, and that's being reflected over here. It's kind of like the entire crypto market dumping, but Ethereum pumping. If Ethereum pumps, its weighted average alone is enough to make Bitcoin dominance chop. Correct? But even though every other altcoin dumps harder than Bitcoin, Ethereum alone could make Bitcoin dominance not tell you the entire picture. It may tell you that, hey, altcoins are the better trade, so I'm going to buy a basket of altcoins. When in reality, it's really just Ethereum that's causing all of it. Does it make sense?
Yeah. That's a better way to put it.
Shall we just test the top of this? Is this an ascending triangle to you, or is it a symmetrical triangle? I believe you mentioned symmetrical.
I was looking at a symmetrical.
The wick highs, the candle closes.
Always the wicks. But let me go ahead and pull it up on my chart. Yeah, the wicks. Oh, I guess, yeah, okay. So what are you looking at? The candle closes?
I have a mess
According to the
over
candle
here.
closes, then it would be this is probably threatening a break, but I'm not looking at the candle closes. Looking at the wicks right now. Telling me that, we got some more to go. We need to break 44.8K. But to be extra prudent, I'll just wait for Bitcoin to take out the last wick high there, which came in at around 44,865.
Oh, what was the level again? 46,000?
44,008.
Ah, okay, okay, I see.
44,000, yeah, 865.
So Daniel McCourt and Julian are having Stephen Watson as well. They're talking about Dash. Interesting. Just want to look at Dash now. Okay, Dash is being used as a currency in a number of South American nations. Nice. I had no idea, man. Good to know.
That's
It's
insane.
sad that because it's not a newer coin, nobody cares to hold it up. Looks like Bitcoin is the only viable currency.
Dash, remember Dash being there in the last bull market too. This is one of the few coins that actually lasted.
Yeah.
God, I still remember Dash freaking when I first entered. It was I remember when I first entered the crypto market, and this was on Poloniex, and Dash was always like for 3 days in a row. I kid you not. Dash was on top of the list as far as the most gains were concerned. And I'm talking about gains, guys, and this is when we had that whole ICO frenzy and all these altcoins were running. We're talking about gains of like 3,000%. 3,000%. It was insane. I remember Dash being one of those coins, and I think it was library credits. I don't
Yeah.
know. But
I know people who turned into millionaires just on Dash, but they also lost it all because not because of Dash, of course, but easy come easy go kind of attitude, right? Kind of notion, yeah. So do you know what's funny, guys? From 2017, I probably, or rather in 2017, 2016 through 2017, I probably knew maybe 50 people who turned into millionaires, right? 50 of them. Let's say 30 to 50. And out of those 30 to 50 people who had nothing and then turned into millionaires, maybe 5 of them kept it. Just think about how that's scary to me, man. Kusha's laughing,
yeah.
but that's traumatizing. But Kusha didn't know them like personally as well as I did.
I'm
Right?
laughing out of the.
It's ridiculous. But
Crazy.
the
I mean,
thing
it's
is,
a coping mechanism.
you remember the people who do stay, the 3 or 5 who did stay in the space. The rest of the new participants will see these guys and be like, hey, yeah, I can be one. You can be one of them. I'm not saying you can't, but nobody remembers or talks about the other guys who are gone. But I do, and I'm scared. I'm traumatized. You know what I realized recently? I realized that I'm probably traumatized through association.
That's actually so true. And this can happen, by the way, and that's why we see a lot of people who are left at the end of certain market cycles actually gravitate towards Bitcoin, right? Which is essentially, it's like when there's salt in water and you put it on the gas and all the water evaporates, you get the salt left at the bottom of that salt is your Bitcoin. The water evaporating on the
Wow.
gas is a bear market.
Yeah. Wow, Krisha, with the analogies. Wow, that's a good analogy. I like that one.
It's a start.
I like that one. I really like that one. That's good.
But that's essentially what happens. That's essentially what happens, and people notice the salt lying at the bottom of the pot, and there are some people that still want to stay in the market, and that was us, right? That was me. In the last bear, I'm like, no, I want to make this work. I have to make this work. I love doing this. And you can ask Sean. I used to get up, and that's the first thing I used to do in the morning. I used to read, and I used to fill out my journal. And I was so engrossed in the charts, and that's all I used to talk about because I was just that damn interested. So
Krisha and I have had fights, like little fights, because she was obsessed with the charts. Like, it would piss me off. She would just be constantly on the charts, and it's a bit. When I look back, I guess I was being a little bit hypocritical, because I guess I don't think I was as ever. I don't think I was ever as obsessed as Krisha. Like, Krisha was obsessed, man. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, you guys should have seen her. She'd be up till 3 a.m. in the morning. Like this is nuts. She was nuts, man. She was nuts. I'm telling you guys. You have no idea. She's really she got crazy. Like, but she learned a lot though, really, really fast.
it was more
thing
that.
Is
It was
you need
the
that
learning
obsessive,
process.
yeah. You need
Yeah.
that obsessive behavior towards wanting to learn something, right? Otherwise, you're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate this journey. She really wanted this. She really wanted to get good at this. She wasn't doing this for the money. She was doing this because she's a gamer at heart. Like, she's really Krisha's really competitive. Really competitive. When I play Brawlhalla with her, you guys should see her in the freaking living room in front of the TV, guys. She's like jumping around and she's like so into it. She wants to kick my ass. She like wants to kick my ass. She wants to beat me. Like I could see it in her eyes. She wants. Like it's like she's going to war. You know, like it's like 300 against. Like she's willing to die for it. She's crazy.
Okay, maybe not that
No, she is. She is.
crazy.
She
But
is.
no, I think what my obsession really stemmed from is the fact that I really wanted to learn this, and because I got wrecked. Think about it, man. I got wrecked in the bull market, guys. You know, that's not a nice spot to be in, especially if it's something that you want to do and you really like doing. So I got obsessed in that. I wanted to really learn this. I remember that 3 a.m. mornings rather. It happened for like a week. Sean had introduced me to the risk management system, and Candace, this once again goes back to the whole confidence part of things, right?
I was
I
thinking about
used to stay
Candace
up
too.
till 3 in the morning, actually, playing around with the risk management system, taking on several trades with the risk management system, some real trades that I had more conviction on, and some paper trades, just to to understand how the risk management system was working, and just to build a confidence in that system. And let me tell you something, that week of 3 a.m. nights was the best week ever for my trading career.
Yeah. I'll agree with that.
It
That
was the
changed
best week
there.
because that changed everything. That
Yeah.
literally changed everything. But I put in the time to get
It
that confidence to build it in that regard,
But it wasn't
right?
just
So,
those 3 a.m. nights, or it was everything leading up to those 3 a.m. nights
oh
where,
yes, yes, of course. But I'm just saying that sort of when my obsession came from there, right? And that's also what prompted me to even stay up and get better at it, because I wanted it so bad.
yeah. This is not an easy space. This is not an easy space. You guys need to want it bad enough and be disciplined enough to um, stick through it.
Yeah.
It's a simple space, but like it's simple. At least for now, for the next few years, it's gonna be that way because we don't have like all the big funds and algo houses coming into the spaces yet, especially for the altcoins. But it's not easy on the mind. It's simple on the execution. Like Alina was talking about, how I like Alina had a question on a trading plan, and then when I gave her an answer, she mentioned something in regards to how I use multi-time frame analysis. Yes, I use multi-time frame analysis, but you guys don't need to, right? If you guys just look at it and just ask yourselves, you know what, all I needed to do was buy the monthly support and then wait for the monthly close, or weekly support, wait for the weekly close, depending on what Sean is prioritizing, right? Just keep it simple. So there are times where I say, you know what, weekly is the most important. That's the golden nugget for you guys. There are other times where I'm like, guys, I'm looking at the monthly. That's the most important thing for me. Now, everything I say throughout the rest of the video, use it as a learning opportunity, but you guys need to be able to judge your own skill level and say, you know what, I'm not there yet to care about the lower and the midterm timeframes the way Sean is caring. So I'm going to care only about the monthly. Always err to the higher timeframes. Now I've kind of gotten off track. Kusha, what was I talking about before this?
Um, sorry, I was replying to someone on the
Oh,
on the chat.
yeah,
Apologies.
no, that's fine. Yeah. Anyways, see, I forgot what I was talking about.
But I have a tip. I have a tip in regards to this, right? Trading in general, especially if you're here to learn. And I think, Sean, this is something that we spoke about. Now, this was a tip that, it took a bit of brainstorming, because I was looking at Bitcoin's chart one day, and I was looking at the entire cycle, and I realized something. I'm like, Bitcoin is not as easy to trade anymore as it was, say, back in the 2014 cycle, back in the 2016 cycle. Like, if you go ahead and look at those charts, guys, just zoom out on your weekly time frame, and you'll notice how, I mean, in hindsight, it's looking easy, but if you're just looking at it in terms of the levels, it was, okay? You're literally buying the 4-day Kijun every time it got down there, and it freaking worked like magic. And so I was looking at that, I'm like, damn, that was an easy time, right? And I'm trying to think of the variables that have changed this time around. Now, the biggest one, Sean, was market participants. We have a lot more sophisticated traders that have entered the Bitcoin space, right? And that's one very, very important dynamic that has changed. And I think the person who brought this up last time was Mock. Actually, he was talking to someone in the chat over here on the live stream, and he sort of brought that up. He's and I said, yeah, you know what? the market participants have changed, and that is also what's contributing to the change in the market signature. And that's why trading Bitcoin, even along its ranges, it's not as clear cut as it used to be back in the day. Right. Now, the thing about these new market participants, they're usually they come from the traditional space. A lot of them with heavier pockets, and then it got me thinking of liquidity, right? Liquidity on the books. Now, these guys that come in, and you're seeing them right now, hedge funds, coming into Bitcoin. We have BlackRock that recently came out with a news piece, not a news piece, but they published a little thing saying that they're going to be enabling cryptocurrency trading for their clients. Bitcoin and Ethereum, I'm not sure if it's all cryptocurrencies, but anyways, Bitcoin was on that list. And you're going to see this more and more. The thing about these traders, right, is that they're not going to be getting into everything because of one factor, which is liquidity. There's just not enough liquidity for them to play on some of these other altcoins, right? And if you look at some of these other altcoins where there's enough liquidity for, say, the beginner, but not enough for the hedge fund manager, you'll notice one thing on those charts. It's the fact that they have textbook TA on them. It's proper. If you just go ahead, back test it, you'll find that they all follow textbook TA, and you'll score some better trades on there, right? Especially if you guys are looking to practice, look for those charts. Look for charts that have not that haven't seen those crazy entrants come in just yet because of the lack of liquidity.
So
You're
speaking
likely
of
gonna, yeah.
speaking of charts that hedge funds are likely not in, I don't know whether it's entirely we don't know, right, whether it's buying a little bit of everything. Like, so what they could be doing, Kisha, like, I don't know, again, they could be saying, hey, 90% is going to go into again, Kisha's point on liquidity is key here, right? Key. They could, because of that, they could be saying 90% is going into Bitcoin, and then 10% is going into everything else. Because now when you're saying 10% is going to everything else, you can pick 100 coins and literally go 0.1% in each of them, right? But it could even be Ethereum is liquid enough. But I want to specifically talk about Dasho here because I'm looking at the chart, right? For sure. Let's say, because I agree with you, let's say that there's not enough influence of hedge funds on all coins for it to matter yet. Correct? Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on Dasho here? Because it's looking actually pretty interesting.
I mean, I like it. I think when it comes to interesting, it stepped into a brand new range. I'll say that. I think this has more to go in terms of the upside, but I think it's still range bound. Range is, I think, 140. I think it'd get up to 140. Thoughts?
The 4 looks really interesting over here, like almost a perfect ascending triangle or symmetrical triangle based on how you'd probably look at it. And it's testing the top of the horizontal line right now. So yeah, could be flagging here, breaking towards the upside. If it does break 119, that's also a major horizontal, 119. Yeah, right
So
over there. It's already tested
119.
once, and it's looking to test again. So I think if it breaks that, it's likely gonna get to. Are you saying 140? Are you looking at the high time frames?
Yeah, I'm looking at the high time frames for this one. I just noticed that it's a brand new range here, and 140 is going to be the top of the range. So, and I think Dash is one of those coins that's actually really, really volatile. Like if you look at where price is at, and minimum. Okay, maybe if we fail to get over 140, I think minimum I could see is a 124. Actually, no, it's about 7%. But yeah, I think if we can get over 124, then 140 next stop. But yeah, it's looking like an interesting chart. Perhaps, Sean, I'm looking for a falling wedge on the weekly.
I see it. Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, you're right. The 4 hours looking freaking insane. That is neat.
And Swad says that BlackRock getting into crypto trading may very well be a game changer. Yeah, it's gonna make things not as easy, I think, because a lot of these funds target volatility as a way to manage their positions, their portfolios, and when you start having vol targeting, vol essentially gets suppressed. And yeah,
Yes, that's a big one. Stephen Watson asks, what are some high liquidity altcoins? Well, your top MCAP coins for the most part. Bitcoin,
Cardano.
Ethereum, Cardano, yeah, all of those coins. Cardano's still relatively okay, but it gets tricky sometimes when it gets range bound. You'll notice that on Cardano's chart. What else? Yeah, so anything that's got like super high volume, not volume, what am I saying? Yeah, yeah, high trading volume and stuff
Solana,
on the
Avalanche
order
probably
books,
have
yeah,
good enough
all
volume
of
as well.
that. Solana as well, yeah. So anything on the top 10, they can get into. But if you look at some of your mid caps, there are quite a few mid caps that they cannot touch. Not they cannot touch for sure, but you know what I mean. Like they cannot get a substantial enough of a position, and because there's that limitation, they're likely not going to gravitate towards that. They probably will find edge,
Bitcoin is looking so
not
good.
just crypto, but in something else, right? They have access to other markets as well that they can dabble in. So the mid caps now take Dash for instance, right? Dash is one of these coins that if you look at the TA over here, it's pretty like look at this ascending triangle. I remember Link used to be one, Sean. Remember Link?
Yep. I'm nodding.
When
Yeah,
Link
it's
was
just you could
yeah,
see
when
me.
Link was new, Link had a freaking beautiful chart.
Link was fun while it lasted. Was some of the easiest trades Mango's ever had. It just kept just going and going and going, but it didn't. It wasn't about it just going. It was about how structured it was in its TA. Right, made it very easy to trade. Beautiful trend, beautiful structures. Kept putting in the same thing over and over again. Ascending triangle, symmetrical triangle, continuation. BNB was a similar story from $5 all the way to the first time, right, when I traded from $5 all the way up to like 50-ish. Now it's sitting at crazier numbers right now, but I'm talking about like how like it was very predictable to read. You don't often get that. So when you do find a chart that's easy to trade it. And once it breaks that signature, step out a little bit, try to figure out what's going on. And when we did step out of Link, it never really got its shit together after that in terms of it being an easy chart to trade. People are probably still trading it and trading it successfully, but it's not easy enough for me to put in the effort on trading it anymore. And I loved Link. If you go back to our older videos, you're going to see that Link was covered almost every time because it was easy, and we like those easy trades. Easy trades means it's easier to manage the risk. Richard Cardano says 12-hour RSI BTC USD. How influential do you think it is? Well, what are your RSI settings? Question. You can look at my RSI over here. We can. Stochastics are in bullish territory. RSI is reaching bullish territory too. So it's not bad. It's like anybody saying that this is bearish divergence, because this is what people are probably doing. They're comparing this zone over here and comparing this area over here, and they're saying, hey, this is bearish divergence because RSI is making you high, and over here it is price was high. Price had a high. You can't look this far back, man. You can't look this far back. So RSI is basically showing strength. Think about what RSI really stands for, right? People use it as a contrarian indicator, but it's really telling you the strength of the asset, its relative strength, right? In stochastics, similar story. It's in bullish territory over here. As long as it's above the 80-ish zone, 75 zone, depending on where you draw in your horizontal, it's good. You could do this. You could trade TA on your stochastics, mark in the horizontal there, and say, hey, that's 55. There you go. That's very convenient. As long as it's above the 50 zone, stochastics are healthy too. Or you could say, hey, as long as above the 80 zone is what it's what I look at. It's bullish. As long as in this territory over here, it's super bullish. Now, you could have different criteria when you mix things up, but that's a little bit more complex. I don't want to get into that right now. But yeah, it's bullish. This is what I'm seeing. Could share your thoughts?
I agree. I'm looking at I'm just going through the monthly and stuff too. I think it's bullish territory. Looks like it wants to go up a bit further.
Indeed.
Even the monthly is looking good.
If you combine the fact that you have a C-SPAN trade underway, Richard, along with the fact that we had a really good candle close on the 12-hour candle, like a really good candle close. Now you retested the bottom of the zone of the range, lower time frame range, and you bounce back up immediately as soon as you take out the high, the previous 12-hour candle's high. Have we done that? I don't think so, eh? The high is sitting at around 44,799, and the high can't. Oh, 79, yeah. So $20 off. We're $20 off from the previous 12-hour candle's high. If we take out this high over here, it's a good chance that we make our way all the way up to around 45,500 again. So look out for that trade. If you guys want to trade the lower time frames. All right, Kushal, we should be taking a few last questions before we wrap up. And if you guys did enjoy the stream, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe if you haven't subscribed just yet. And yeah, I'm exhausted.
Sean, what do you work out today?
You talking to me or someone asked you a question? Oh, I worked out back. Okay, it was back day.
Deadlifts.
Yeah, deadlifts. I'm exhausted.
Daniel McCourt says, Krish, the calculating supply on Dash is tiny, likely only 10 million coins.
Daniel, the Dash chart's looking good, but make sure that you're not getting too emotionally attached to the chart by letting the fundamentals sway your opinion on being a buyer / seller. There's nothing more painful than opportunity cost in a secular market like this, a secular bull market. I'm talking about crypto, right?
There is nothing more painful because this only lasts for like a good 3 months, 4 months, 4 months if you're lucky. I mean, from Bitcoin's 20K break, okay, this time around, which broke somewhere in, what was this, Sean? December? Yeah, December, right? We were on vacation and you had like that entire beach video telling everyone buy. But I mean, how long did that last?
Are you talking about?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 months. That's it.
Yeah,
4 months. And that's why, by the way, that's why it's during these junctures of the market that everyone needs to like hunker down and learn if you see yourself here in the future as well. If you see yourself playing the next bull market, however, you do not want to go based on anyone else's calls, because I'm noticing like a lot of TA out there, they'll tell people, oh, do this, buy here, buy there, but no one's going to tell you when to sell. No one's ever going to tell you when to sell. So it's about really understanding this and doing this for yourself if you're looking to be here for the cycles to come.
Exactly.
Okay, and this happens in 4 months. And if you think that you're going to have the time or even the mental capacity to want to learn, not want to learn. You're going to want to learn. You're just not going to be able to because there's going to be no time because you're going to be too busy FOMOing into trades, thinking that, oh no, I'm just going to get it and I'm going to learn while I'm in a trade and I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to handle the position, but let's hope for the best. And it's a disaster. So don't do that. 4 months, guys. A lot can happen in 4 months. You do not want to, you don't want to get caught in that juncture of the market where things are just running away from you and you're just busy sitting there FOMOing to things. It's just a bad recipe. So this is the time that you guys need to be taking to just study. Like even seedlings, if you have to go over the modules again, this is the time.
There was this entire period, right? This entire period, that's what I was telling people. I'm like, guys, we are in a consolidation / bear market. Call it what you want, but when the bull market does come, you don't want to be studying then. There's no time to study. There's too much going on. You're not going to want to study. You're going to want to be chasing assets, and you don't want to not have the knowledge when you need it the most, right?
Yeah.
And you need it the most during those periods. Because how many people made money during even the most recent bull markets, but they lost it all and then some, right? It's because they weren't fully equipped. They thought, because it's very easy to make money in the bull market, very, very easy to make money. But being able to keep that money, that's a different story, right? And that's what I was telling people during this entire period. And it's only, if you guys think about it, it's the Mongolians who were studying and with us during this bear market, especially the ones that were with us during this bear market over here, that actually survived through it all. It's people who just come in for the bull market that get wrecked because they underappreciate the importance of risk management, and then they don't have the ammo anymore to actually stick with us through this journey. But Krisha, I marked out the zone that you talked about at around 19K. I remember that morning, that beach video I posted. I recommend you guys go ahead and watch it too, because that was when that's essentially around the time when I stopped talking about guys, this is I stopped talking a bit prior to that because we had the monthly close around 10,800ish. We had the first big trigger was the monthly close about 10,800, 10,900, and then this weekly candle close was the next big trigger. I'm like, all right, this is it, guys. This is it. If you're short Bitcoin in any way, right? If you have a co-allocation that you promise yourself, do not make that mistake. If you have a co-allocation and for whatever reason you sold Bitcoin thinking that we had $20,000, because guys, we had $20,000 resistance over here, right? Let me zoom out for you guys. Yeah, right over here, we had major resistance, and a lot of people were trying to get cute. They were like, I'm going to sell at this major resistance. I post a video from the beat saying, we just closed a major candle, a major weekly candle, and you guys can see how simple it was. Right, we closed above that level. But even though we wicked down underneath throughout the week closed fantastic. Again, same story. The week scared everybody out, but towards the Sunday, we closed amazing. And I came on here and I said, I was on vacation. I told you guys, this is it. This is it. If you're short, undo it. And this is what happened right after. So I don't think we're at that point right now in terms of that big move. But again, like, who knows, right? Who knows? So make sure though that you have the knowledge. There's a lot of free content on Mango, man. Take advantage of it.
Sorry, Jonathan Flynn says, has there been any chat on ADA? I did a video a couple of days on Cardano. You can go and check it out. The TA is still the same pretty much. But okay, so Sean's pulling it up right now.
Yeah, it's held pretty well.
There we go.
Someone says, going through the seed modules again. Nice. Good to see that you're going through it again. Again, the rest of your seedlings, make sure you watch it once, watch it twice. Pick modules that you need to rewatch. Okay, figure out what you enjoy in terms of trend trading or support and resistance, and go rewatch it. Go rewatch what your strengths are, and then go rewatch your weaknesses as well, right? But either way, he goes on to say, it's amazing how layered it is. Now that I know a little more, you go back to it and it's like you're talking to a different version of me. So much more to learn, man. That's so good to hear, because you know, people don't appreciate when I say, when you watch it the second time, you're going to see that there's that much more that you can pick up from it. And even though people say the first time was amazing, like, trust me, the second time is going to be that much more. So I implore you guys, watch it again. CPI tomorrow, yes, AJ. CPI.
Isn't it today? Is it today or tomorrow?
Well, it depends on your time zone, I guess.
I guess, yeah. I think many of the coins look like, if Bitcoin, how about this? For anyone looking at the altcoins right now, Bitcoin rips from here on the 4-hour time frame. I'm saying that the altcoins go up too. Now, Cardano, I'm looking at Cardano included. Cardano is also going to start going up. I think they've all stepped into a brand new range. But I'll say one more thing. Pay heed to the resistance overhead. So if you have to get on over to your weekly time frame and look at the next point of resistance, pay heed to that and notice how price reacts off of that region of resistance. But I do believe that there's trades to be had here, contingent on Bitcoin actually, actually pumping here.
The trade got activated, Krisha, as soon as we close above. Now, you just let's see what happens.
So Bitcoin is looking good right now. I think there's another leg up. So I think altcoins are going to follow suit.
I think the big level to worry about is 52K to 53K. I know I've been a broken record on that level, but I think it's important. I think that's going to be the level where we can decide whether Bitcoin actually does lead on to at least test the highs. Until then, I want to be a tad bit more cautious. And yeah, after that, or rather failing that, what would make me bullish is we can reclaim the monthly 10 SMA. So that's next month though.
Yes. Monthly 10 is here. Then this turns into an ascending triangle. Please buckle in. We're all going to the moon. Please get your astronaut suits, your moon boy suits.
So you don't think there's any chance we stop at the highs once we clear the monthly 10 SMA?
I'm saying that this turns into a beautiful ascending triangle. That's what I'm going to be expecting. I think this is gonna turn into that beautiful ascending triangle that Sean and I
Krisha,
have been
Krisha,
looking at.
you ended up being right, right? When
About what?
a few months ago, in around November, I said I said that we we were both on the side of an ascending triangle, right?
Huh?
I talked about how we're likely gonna wick off the monthly dynamic, and you said no. I think we could come down a bit lower, all the way down to 30K. You said that, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I don't think so. And you ended up being right about that ascending triangle, because I was like, because this was my mindset, and I was wrong on it. I said the ascending triangle would come down far too low if we come down all the way down to 30K. Like, it would be like a weird shape, right? But
Yeah.
no, because Krisha uses the wicks as opposed to candle closes. Because I guess I ended up being right based on candle closes. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I did, yeah. But yeah, Krisha ended up being right based on the wicks, right? Yeah,
You'll
and
be
that's
surprised when this
yeah.
panic man people are willing to sell lower. They will give you the Bitcoin that you want for a cheaper price. Always try and get the wicks in.
Richard Cardona says, "Are there not liquidity hunt risks around CPI release?" Yeah, but you should, like, the thing is, you should already be in a trade. Your bullish trade should have already been activated far before this event, right? So if you're already in a bullish trade, it shouldn't matter to you. You shouldn't be trying to lose position. Like, if I try to get cute over here and say, you know what, I'm going to get out of my trade over here because I'm expecting the CPI news event to do this and that, and I can get a better bid. That's me trying to overtrade, and that's me making the same mistake I made back over here during my mistake at 14K when I was short and I lost my position like an idiot, right? And I got dumped on. I didn't get dumped on. I lost a massive profit, which is more painful than getting dumped on, believe it or not. Saw the dump happen, missed the trade completely. Why? Because I got cute, right? I don't want that happening again. So don't try to get cute with hey, there's an event coming. I can time the event. I get in, get out, get out, get in. Don't make my mistakes is what I'm trying to say. It's painful, man. You'll see a lot of traders tell you that missing out on a bigger trade, you remember on a big win, you will remember far more than missing, or rather, you'll remember it far more than losing money. Don't know why that is, but it is what it is. I use Wix, more precise with regard to, and Wix, actually. I thought you meant Wix.
Like John Wick.
Quick questing. World of Warcraft. No, I'm kidding. Quick question. He means RSI on the daily is very high. There's a good chance. I just talked about RSI around 5 minutes ago. I think you should rewind and listen to that segment on RSI. Elena says, I'm focused on high time frames, and those entries are lower than the 4-hour time frame signal. I don't think I understand the question, Kusha. Can you help me?
Higher time frame, I feel like I'm missing trades because I am focused on the higher time frames and those entries are lower than these 4-hour time frame signals.
You can't mix the
What
two,
do you mean?
Elena.
Yeah, if you're looking at the higher, so you need to first round in on the time frame that you're looking at, right? The time frame that you want to play. So if you're playing the weekly, now I was playing, for instance, once again, I'll have to draw back into a trade that I recently took, which was Matic, 4-day, right? I was looking at that and I was playing off that $1.95 region once again. And so I looked at that. I'm like, all right, $1.95. If it's close enough, I'll take the trade. But I will never sort of boil down to my lower time frames to see, oh, what's price doing there? Because you'll be surprised as to how that can really sort of play with your emotions, on the lower time frames. The candles are bigger, they're greener, and all of that momentum is going to be in your face, and you'll feel like the sudden need to jump the gun and FOMO into the trade. Even though if you just wait on your bid to hit on the weekly time frame, now remember, a weekly candle, for instance, or a 4-day candle, that's 4 days worth of price action, right? A lot can happen in 4 days. So if you're round in, and that's why we always tell you guys to round in on a time frame that you want to play, place your bid if you must, and walk away. right?
Yeah.
And that's essentially how I do it. So don't sort of, especially if you're playing the weekly and then looking at the 4 hour, makes it's
Don't do it until you play
eh,
master one time frame at a time before adding multiple time frames. Just do that way. So
yeah.
like start with looking only at one time frame before you start adding your second time frame. Then you can add your third time frame if you so desire, but don't try to empty MFA before you can master single time frame analysis. Daniel asks, do I like the Zcash chart? It's really hard to like the Zcash chart, man. I don't think any trader will genuinely tell you that they enjoy trading Zcash. There are times
I
that it's
hate
great, but
Zcash. I cannot stand the Zcash chart.
and it's not because the fundamentals are bad, right? People like swear by the fundamentals, but it just goes to Zcash is I think Zcash is the prime example of why fundamentals are not enough to be able to successfully trade a chart.
Yes. Yes. Amen. Amen to that. And that's why always, get a grip on the TA as well. Don't just get too hung up on the fundamentals.
In fact, the chart might be telling us that we don't know everything that there is to know about the fundamentals.
Because by doing that, by the way, focusing on fundamentals, and especially there's a lot of inefficiency in all of these markets right now. Focusing on the fundamentals is the perfect recipe to get you stuck into opportunity cost. Massive opportunity cost.
The break just happened. My target is now activated to around 45,500.
Right? You guys have the activation?
The
Are we ready
activation.
for liftoff? Do you have your helmet on, Sean? Are we ready for liftoff?
We can watch it. Let's see if it happens immediately. 28 minutes to the next 12-hour close. So we'll. No, I'm not going to stay for 28 minutes. But yeah, you guys can watch for this. If you close a 1 hour candle above 45,000 ish, right? Even a bigger chance. The probability increases that we make our way up there. We could have a pullback that again. So remember, when you hear traders who know what they're talking about say that target is activated, doesn't mean that we go up in a straight line. It could, but we could do something like this. Come down, wick, and then meet our way up there, or we could meet up. Two possibilities. Ooh, yeah. Hey, we should do a live stream this weekend. I think I'm gonna do a live stream. We should do a live stream this weekend where we get Chauvin on. What do you guys think? Do you guys want Chauvin on? And we're gonna grill him on questions on
Yes.
on all his losses. On all his losses, he's gonna talk about only his losses. He doesn't get to talk about any of his wins. Happening. Yeah, we should do a mango seedling special where we guys show you where we talk about how we lose money.
The worst losses ever. Traders Anonymous, except not so anonymous.
Is this wick like uniform across exchanges? Yeah, 45,500. Yeah. I'll checked only 2 so far. Let's check.
Sure, it's like I'm talking about my losses, and there's lots of content. We should have something like that though. That would be insane if we actually everyone just comes out here and talks about their losses, like the biggest losses, the biggest loss you've ever taken. I think that would be
if Candace is here, I'll tell you guys about one of my most painful losses because it'll relate to her question as well. If not, I'll save it for another time.
Candace, please raise your hands. Tell us you're here.
She's not here. Thank God. I get to avoid more. It feels like
Wow.
I've only spoken about losses today, so.
Wow, Sean, you got saved there.
Whew. Wrap off the end the stream on a good note.
Well,
let's
like,
let's let,
get
let's
this
let's
man a
talk about
pizza.
one of my wins. Uh, uh, I can't find any of them, guys. I'm like, no, but really, I really enjoyed today's stream, guys. I hope you guys had a great time. Big Mike Crypto says, yo, 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 right back at you, man. Guessing you just woke up. I can see the energy. What is this win you speak of? Yeah, who wins, right? Winning. Why you lost is what I can learn. Sometimes I lose because it's just the trade doesn't work out. It's those don't matter. It's the losses that where I actually make a mistake, right? Trading mistake. Those are the ones you can learn from the most. Ooh, Candace was here. She just missed it, guys.
Safe, Sean, safe.
What will you
Thank
do
you all for tuning in.
with the headshot?
Wout says winning is for losers.
Yeah, winning is for losers.
Who wants to win? Psh. What will you do with the ETH short if BTC shows up? Dominic, I've closed out. I closed out 25 on the midpoint, and then I closed out another 25 4 days ago. And then I'll have to see. I still have the other 50% still left. Wait, I
Kusha
think
betting
I did an
against the
update on Ethereum.
Kusha
Yeah, go
betting
ahead and check
against
that
the
out.
dynamic.
Go ahead and
Bad
check that
idea.
out. Sean doesn't like any of my trades, but I'm actually pretty I'm pretty comfortable though. I'm pretty comfortable. I'll say that.
Oh my god, too funny.
And this is what I alluded to last time, right? These freaking like anything that's a bear market, and you find the rallies in the bear markets, they can take you out of your trades compared to the bull market that's just a series of green candles, green on green on green on green on green. You don't see this in bear markets.
35,500. We're 100 into it now. Let's go.
Daniel McCourt, dude, zoom out. Okay, if you want to really get a good grip on the Zcash chart or any chart for that matter, just zoom out. Get on over to your weekly time frame and understand what the trend is at. Ask yourself, is this an uptrend or a downtrend?
Why are you in
And
the
then
trade?
accordingly,
Why are you in the trade, Daniel? Is it because of fundamentals? Don't like
trade
when.
fund.
How about this? Let me ask you something, Daniel. You better be able to answer this question in 20 seconds after I ask it. When are you wrong on your trade on Zcash? When are you wrong on it? You need to have a clear answer right away. Just because I hated the chart means nothing. It means nothing. It means nothing. I hate it based on my view on life, right? My view on trading and markets and investment. It means nothing. It should mean nothing to you. It should mean nothing to you. Like there are traders out there who literally trade. Let's say I'm trading. In fact, I'm okay. I'll give you guys a really good example. Okay. Of something. Let me just find my brush. You know how traders always talk about oh, I have a 65% win rate, right? Or I have a 80% win rate, right? Well, if someone is trading the 80% win rate probability, it means that there's an equivalent strategy for the 20%, right? Where if you can identify when the 20% happens, if you can identify when that 20% happens, you can trade that event, right? If someone's saying I win 80% of the time, it means that the 20% of the time is the opposite end of his strategy, that other traders can activate a trade on that idea and win 20% of the time. In fact, that's me, right? When I trend trade, I am now crypto is a different story, a different beast where trend trades happen far more often, but I'm not looking to win all the time. I'm looking to win when I do win 20% of the time, 30%, 60%, 50%, whatever. The magnitude of what I win is important, right? How much I win. So trend traders actually look to win 35% of the time, 40% of the time at most when things are really good. But crypto is a different beast again, I'll say, where you can actually get a lot of trend trades and be successful far more often. You can actually be successful with trend trades 60% of the time in crypto, but that's really just crypto. It's not an event that you can count on in every market. That being said, you can take this concept and say, hey, you know what? There are traders who look to win 99% of the time, which is unrealistic. But again, like you say, you could actually win 99% of the time if you have very, 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 very low win magnitude, right? If you have extremely low win magnitude, you could win 99% of the time. But on the flip side, there are traders, there are hedge funds who specialize in this. Actually, they're called tail risk funds, where they're looking to win on the 1% chance of something happening. There's a 1% chance of something happening, right? But their entire strategy is dedicated towards that. Okay. Now me as someone who wants to protect against a tail risk scenario, I'm going to go towards that to that hedge fund and allocate a certain portion of my capital to them, okay, which is completely counter to my trading strategy, because now I've allocated to them to basically counter trade me and protect against my strategies. Do you guys understand what I mean? So that they are allocating towards the tail risk event of things going absolutely wrong. So this is what I mean by, I may look at what they're doing, I'm like, I could never do what they're doing because it goes against everything I believe in, but they are a hedge against me, right? So I'll allocate towards them in that. I'm like basically hedging against my own strategies that way. So all of this to say is, my view, man, should not matter to you. Okay, you need to believe in your view. And you need to know when you're wrong, though. So I hope that helps, guys. If you guys did like this video, leave a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm. YouTube doesn't like Mango at all because we actually give useful information that people don't want. People just want up or down. People want targets. People want when, moon, and we don't give any of that. We want to actually help people. YouTube doesn't like us helping people. So help us fool the algo into making the algo think that you people actually like this video by leaving a comment down below. Hit the like button too. Helping people, helping the algo think that people actually like the video. Blah 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 blah. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave a comment down below. It helps the algo, helps Mango stay motivated to do these videos and do these live streams. But yeah, Kusha, any final thoughts?
No, that's all. I think you covered it there at the end. Thank you for tuning in, you guys. Much love, and yeah, hope everyone has a splendid day ahead, and we'll see you guys soon.
And if you guys want Kusha to do a particular video, this is your opportunity to leave a comment down below, and she'll cover that in the next 12 hours when she wakes up tomorrow.
Yes, sirree.
Guys.
Ciao, you guys.
And stream end. Boom.